Hi, John Kirago here. Welcome to the show. Another key important thing, in addition to our previous discussion around budget, the country's economic context, the country's economic conditions have a very major impact on the budget making process. So we could be having budget estimates. Let me give an example of 5 trillion. That's budget estimates based on all our needs, from agriculture, education, the health sector, mining, manufacturing. We could project like with accuracy and say we need 5 trillion Kenya shillings to manage all our sectors. But the country's economic condition, economic performance have a very big impact on our ability to finance or to fund our budgetary aspirations or our budgetary needs. And that's why it's very, very critical. When the country is making its budget, it has to consider realistically how much revenue it can raise, let's say from taxes or even from other non-tax sources. So very important for the country to review its ability to finance its budget, because there's no point of having an aspirational budget that we are going to finance 5 trillion when our country can only be able to raise, let's say, 1 trillion or 2 trillion. Because this will have an implication on borrowing. Because, for example, if a country is having a debt distress or a debt situation, so this will push this country to keep borrowing, to borrow so as to finance the aspirational budget of, let's say, 5 trillion, while it could only raise 2 trillion from its tax and non-tax sources. So very important to have realistic budgets. Number two, I also wanted to mention a very important indicator, a macroeconomic indicator that shows, for example, the prioritization of a sector within the government. Within the health sector, we normally review the indicator called general government health expenditure as a percentage of total expenditure within the government. For example, the recent estimate for Kenya was 8.7% against the Abuja threshold of 15%. So this threshold, when it has been set at 15%, that means the government of Kenya has a long way to go to move from 8.7% to 15%. But if we have critical review about this particular macroeconomic indicator, it shows that within the government, the health sector takes only 8.75% of all the expenditures it's incurring. It also means the rest of the sectors are consuming the 93% or the 91% of the budgetary expenditure of all government expenditure. So if we have a claim that we need to move macroeconomic indicator of the general government expenditure on health out of the total expenditure from 8.7% to 15%, we need to make a justification, because by moving health sector allocation from its current 8.7%, that means money has to be, there must be a funding cut from another sector. So, and there has to be a justification, because it could be the education sector. So education is an equally important sector. It could be defense, it could be manufacturing. That's why it's very, very critical that when we are engaging in advocacy for a budgetary increment for example, budgetary increment for health sector, we must have a wider view about our country or the country's economic conditions in supporting all the other sectors. So, key message within this video is that let's have a wider, a more comprehensive understanding of our macroeconomic conditions as we advocate for budgetary enhancements within sectors such as the health sector. Thank you very much.